Hello folks and good evening. So yeah, it's been a month since probably put this, almost a month since I put the last video out. This is going to be the final video, I'm glad to say, because Mr. Brown just dropped me off a brand new clutch boss that I got sent all the way from Japan. It turns out it's supposed to be in stock with Partzilla, but it wasn't, and I had to order it from Japan. Still make it, believe it or not. So now, this evening, I'm going to actually put the clutch back together and get this bike up and running, and hopefully with the new crank seals in it, it should be ticking over, and I might even to do a little ride tonight. So let's get started. And if you remember, the reason I had to wait for the new clutch part is I broke off the stanchion in my haste to try and fasten this on, and I needed a grab-it tool, which I now have, and I have that special tool here now. And you can see this tool just actually fits in here, and I'll torque that thing up to 40 pounds. I've got the ball bearing in there. Another thing I'm going to do is before I fill this thing up with oil, I just remember I'll have to double check the clutch adjustment. So when I put in the pressure plate here, there's a little adjustment to this side. I'll double check that's all okay before fastening it up. Let's get started. Well, actually I also thought I'd show you is, look at the condition. This is a brand new one in the package. This is the clutch I'm actually just taking out. This is 40 years old. This is 42 years old. This thing is brand new, this bike. I'm going to keep this because I might be able to actually weld that back on as a temporary measure. I'd actually thought, before, even when I broke it, I still have the stanchion. I could have just put the stanchion in there, and it would have probably been okay. Anyway, let's go. So I've got the grab-it tool on here. You can see it just fits in the slots on each side. And you just want it to be really just gripping it and no more. I mean, there's no real pressure on this. It's just enough to actually stop it from turning. But just to ensure that the actual arms are actually set into the thing correctly. So now I just need to actually torque this up. And I've got it jammed against the footrest here. So we should be good. So if we count from the 12 o'clock position, it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So there's 20 slots here. And I've got 5 clutch plates. So it's 1 every 4. Will give us 60 degrees. So I'll place the next one 4 slots around. Okay, so that's the clutch back in. So I'm now actually going to adjust this. So I double checked the ball bearing was in there. So what I'm doing is there's a push rod that side, a push rod this side, and a little ball bearing in the middle. But I'm basically just actually loosening this all up completely loose. And what you actually see here, it's hard to see this actually. Maybe we should get a camera out. The lever on this side, there's it's gonna be hard to do this yourself here, but at the end of this, it's hard to see. Can you see the end of that? It's actually a little at the end of the clutch lever here. Look at the clutch, you'll see it. That lever, it moves there. There's a little pointer, and actually right underneath it, on the actual casing, there's a little piece of aluminium that sticks up. You may be able to see it now. Can you just see that? So effectively, what I want to do is I want to hold this in, and I want to screw in the clutch, screw it the other side until they're lined up. So let me get that done. Actually, you can see it from this side much clearer. You can see the lever there. There's a little that dimple there is coming up, and when I actually press when I actually push that forward and it stops, it should line up with that, and that's exactly what it is. So when I actually push that forward a little bit here, you'll find it when it stops. When it stops, it lines up. So that's good. Okay, done. Okay, I can now button this up. Well, finally got this clutch cover on. That was a real pain in the backside between the having to line up the gears for driving the oil pump with a little washer in the inside on top of the gear, plastic gear. And then also what happened is I'd already put this all back on, filled up with oil, and it just poured out the bottom. I thought I'd cracked the case when I was tightening up, because I was tightened up pretty hard. But what happened was this starter had come off, the kick starter had come off, and I put it back in, but I hadn't aligned up the little spring notch in there that goes into a recess in the crankcase, and I didn't align it up. So this was protruding slightly more, so it wasn't aligning up. So Jesus, I'm just glad I never cracked that. Good news is I managed to actually put the clips back on when it was actually off there. So I'm going to put in a little bit of oil, make sure this is not dripping. And then I'll bleed this pump here and then put this stuff back on, and we should be good to go. Okay, lessons learned. So I've just started to put some oil in. I do have a drip here coming out, so I'll tighten this up in a little minute or two, but I'm just going to leave that. If it's just dripping, I'm just going to fill it up completely. I've only got 150 millilitres in it, so I'm going to top it up to the 650 that it recommends at the moment, and then I'm going to kick this over. Well, here she is, folks. She'll start at the moment, and she'll cut out again, so I'm just going to have to play with the carburetor settings a little bit. I just thought I'd give you a look to show you what it looks like. The mirror's just arrived actually. I have to get this bike registered. There's no registration in the US for it, so I have to actually make it roadworthy, so I have to have mirrors and all that on it. Anyway, they just arrived, and the only thing was is that this one was stripped. So I've got a helicoil kit here, and I got this helicoil on the internet, and this has absolutely been worth its weight in gold. It's been dirt cheap. I forget how much it cost, but it's on Amazon, and it's been really good. So it comes with the drill bits and all the taps and the helicoils. So I've just actually drilled it out. This one's 10 millimeters. I'm lucky because this one is a left hand thread, and that one wasn't stripped. So let me get the mirror on. Yeah, I don't know if you guys were interested in the helicoil, but just basically I drilled it out with the oversized drill bit that comes with the kit, and then I basically just actually tapped this out with the tap that comes with it. Yeah, there you go. I've obviously pre-tapped that, so I was just cleaning the threads. And then what you do is you take the helicoil, which a helicoil just looks like this. This looks like a little spring. It's got a little tab in the bottom there. See that? So basically use this tool, which has got a slot in the end. And that fits into the tab, and then we screw it in and then just go half a turn underneath it, and we're done. There you go, Bob's your uncle. That was very easy. Took 2 minutes. Now let me see if we can get this bike started now. Since everything is now up to spec, see if we can get this thing going. Yeah, wet. Well, at least it's almost there. Obviously just some fine tuning with the carburetor, and I'll get it finished, but yeah, it's not too shabby, is it? I've left the cover off here at the moment just until I get the thing running over, and then I'm going to bleed the air out the oil pump. Well, again, good morning folks. So I got that bike running yesterday, still not idling on the pilot system. I ordered up a pilot jet. I cleaned all the carburetor out, but I looked through it all as you saw, but still won't idle. But when I actually put it on between 2,500 and 3,000 revs, so that I'm working off the needle jet instead, it ran fine, perfect. But I wasn't getting any gears, so I've had to pull the clutch all the way out again. But the problem with the gears was, I will show you just now, it's actually pretty simplistic. And I made the right decision this time to, once bitten twice shy. I've just actually tied this up, the clutch cover here, There's no strain on these pipes here because I'd actually tightened these up so they weren't leaking, which is cool. But down here, where the gear lever comes through from the other side, it actually fits in there. So this shaft is turning, which is perfect. The problem is it wasn't seated. Oops. It wasn't seated in here properly. There's this little bush that fits in there. If I can get it in. Yeah, that little bush fits in there, and then this on the end of the gear shield fits in here, but it wasn't actually seated properly, therefore it wasn't working. But I have noticed that this bush is actually broken, well, a little bit broken off the end. It's still actually round, but it's broken off there. Now that could have been me when I was whining it yesterday trying to get that thing in gear, but well, I doubt it, because that would be, yeah, I thought it might have been me with this thing trying to get this thing in gear, but when I pushed it, but that wouldn't have broken off. So I think this has jumped out at some point. Now the reason I think they've put a new clutch in is it wasn't in gear and they thought it was a clutch, but lo and behold, it's not the clutch at all. It is, keep that gasket on, this thing. Now the problem is it's not fitting over here, so this is not round anymore. But the problem is, for some reason, I need to get the gear shift up, the gear lever off. There should be a bolt. I think they've sheared the bolt off of this thing, because I cannot obviously get it out, but it does move up and down. But this is, yeah, there should be a bolt on there, but it's sheared off. So that's a pain in the body. Source of why the transmission was making that little racket there. I managed to put the bush back on. You can see it's still broken there. I've got a new one coming. But this is not square. That top there is just slightly pointing, this here bar is pointing slightly upwards. So it's actually sticking out a little bit, and I think what's happening is, see this here? You can see where it's been rubbing. It's some metal rubbed away, so it's been rubbing off the back of the crown gear. And I hope I haven't fucked the teeth on this. Oh yeah, look. Wow. Yeah, I think that's those teeth that, I mean, they're very slightly. Oh, I mean, no, it's just the actual, there's nothing broken. It's just the actual colour. I thought they were actually worn down there. I think it might be worn a little bit at the edge. I think these actually might be, yeah, these rings here, see them there? They're actually worn off by hitting that. Now the rest of the rings look good. Thank Christ it's not broken anything. But yeah, I think that's what's happened. I think they've actually been rubbing off the, bloody hell. That was lucky. Lucky, lucky, lucky. Finally fixed this thing. Now this is not the new bush that I've got coming up on it. It's got the old bush on it, but I think the key thing here is that this is just fully down. So I now actually I've got about 2.5 millimeters. You can see where it was hitting there. It was hitting off that plate there. So I've got about 1 millimeter. Where this is not touching it, and I couldn't get it much more flush, so this was actually bent up, so I've actually been banging the end of it. I've had the shaft straight up on the ground, I've been hammering at the end just to try and bend this plate down without bending the shaft, and the shaft is not bent, which is cool, but it certainly has moved in, because this what do you call it, the bush now is actually pretty much centered. So this circlip down here stops the shaft going down. So this angle here, I was trying to see if I could get it a little bit further down, but you can see how much gap I've got there before it hits the bottom of the ring gear. I think that should be safe, because this is not going to pop out, because actually here what rests against that is this piece within the clutch case housing. So this thing here just rests against this and it stops it moving back. So this is me just putting all the clutch back again together. This is about like the 4th time I think I've done it, so everything's on super quick. I actually also double checked that the ball bearing was in there, so it took me a little while how to figure out how to do it best, but magnets weren't seem to pull out this time. So all I did was I took a MacGyvered it. I just took a small Allen key and stuck on some putty glue, what do you call it, sticky blue tack, that's what I was looking for, blue tack, and just enough, and put it in, pulled it out, not a problem. So that was a good tip if you ever got a ball bearing stuck in there. Just make sure you don't put on too much, otherwise you don't want this glue to stick, this putty to stick in there. Anyway, I'm going to batten this up and we should be freaking good here now. And I've got oil as well when I was down at the store, so let me batten up and run this sucker. So while I'm waiting on this pilot jet to arrive, I was reading up a little bit more about carburetor cleaning. So I have actually cleaned this carburetor and this chem dip stuff, but they were telling me that since it's been lying around for like 17 years, I'd put it in for like 20 minutes. It could be there's still some varnish in there, maybe just actually building up the inside of the actual pilot jet hole, so it's still not getting through properly. Although the pilot jet itself is new, so but maybe the actual orifices that it sits in could be bad. So anyway, what I ended up doing is I've heard that this is an ultrasonic cleaner I got from Harbour Freight. It's like $70, and it's used for cleaning parts. But I've been told that in conjunction with what already used, this is actually the Berry Dip, Chem Dip Carburetor Parts Cleaner. They do according to the Berryman website, they do 2 different types. This particular one, 9606, is can actually use an ultrasonic cleaners without any reservations. It's water and amine based. The other ones are actually solvent based. So I'm going to actually take this and put this in for 15 minutes and clean all these parts out. I'll put them back in the bike. And what's amazing is after all these years working on engines, which just blows my mind, I didn't even know about this. I actually got a light at Harbour Freight too. I'd always wondered what the, get this carburetor in and out of this bike is a royal pain. You get it around the other side, but it turns out that the nut in the bottom of these, on the bowl, I had no idea that was for replacing the pilot jet and the main jet. How crazy is that? So effectively, if you just loosen both of those clamps around the throttle bodies and then turn it so that it's actually facing you, you can actually go in and, believe it or not, just undo that screw and then get access to both of those valves so you can do a quick replacement. Anyway, so I'm going to take this carburetor completely off again anyway, and I'm going to clean it. You never know, this actually might work, and now I know the best way to put this back. In the interim, I also put on these, cut off these Oracle 651 permanent adhesive from a roll, and just measured up with a template and put them on. And that was like what the original bike was. Well, I think it was painted that way, but I thought I'd put them on. These last up to 5 years. So that's actually much, gives the bike a little better look, I think, doesn't it? A little bit more streamlined look, I like that. Anyway, let me get on and get this bath ready. So that's the bath finish for 2 cycles, 10 minutes. Sorry, 16 minutes. So let's see what this is like. And I have to rinse them all with water, so let me take out these parts first. Yeah, I think that was a success. This part here, it's pretty. I mean, they were, as I said, they were quite clean to go in, but that is definitely taken off residue that was inside it. That is pretty clean. Not bad at all. There we have one cleaned up carburetor after an ultrasonic bath, and I cleaned out all the, just checked, blew air through all the orifices and checked that pilot again so I could definitely see through. I think that's it. I've just finished putting it all back together after fixing the gear selector, so hopefully there won't be any noise. And with the carburetor also. So that was after that bath. So let's take this out and give it a bang. Oh, baby. Smoking a bit.